Okay, hello everyone. So, back for another evaluation of my FMP project. So, getting straight into it. Um, Getting back on. So, I want to first talk. I've done a lot of the work over this past over the the 2 week holiday that I had. So the last time I was working on my project, or the last no, not time I worked on my project. Last time I did my FMP video, oh, my evaluation was during the 2 week holiday, and I want to show the progress that I've made since then. So I'm not quite sure where I left off from, but I want to continue from here just in case I missed anything. And so for the last week of the holiday, I used to finish texturing my environment and texturing my sci-fi environment, and I used it lots of uh, different textures and methods for texturing. So for most of the room, I explained last week. I think I explained last week that for most of the room, I use the same combination of nodes to add the texture the um, onto the object. But I also used UV mapping as well, and I used UV mapping, and UV mapping just means putting an image over the object and then using the UV editor to move the face of that object, or where you want it, where you want it. And I've kind of, because it was very difficult. I found it very difficult to explain what UV mapping was, and so I put a video here, so hopefully to give a better understanding. Um, Although I wish I'd picked another object to UV map for this video, because in this video I just UV mapped the posters on the wall. And later on, I kind of discovered that it would have been better using the coffee machine object, because I feel like that would have been a bit more in depth and a bit more detailed, and it would have been able to gather more information from it. So in this section, I kind of explained how I kind of had a bit of a problem with getting the image that I made onto the object itself, because I didn't take into account the odd shape of the screen. At least that's what I think is the issue here. But I UV mapped. This is just me talking about how I UV mapped the logos onto the different objects. Where this for the first object, for the first logo, it didn't really work out as well as I was hoping, because I moved the face around in a different way, and so all this white area is the face. And I did it in a different way. I did it by moving each individual corner around the image, and it didn't work. It didn't come up with the best results. Whereas for this image, I just used the scaling tool, and it worked a lot better. Um, and I kind of did the same. I used the UV mapping for a lot of different objects in the room. And I'm happy that this is how I added all of my custom texture or custom images that I made by UV mapping them onto the different objects in the room. Now, unfortunately, some of them didn't work as well as I was hoping. Like I said, with this image or this logo. Later on, I went back and changed it and UV mapped it the same way as I did with this blue logo here, and it worked out a lot better. But for some reason, sometimes the UV mapping process didn't work as well as I was hoping. Because you can kind of see in this image, the name is a bit deformed, it's a bit stretched. And I couldn't figure out how to get rid of that, so I just had to kind of present it the best way I could, the best way possible. Just me going over how I UV the different objects that I UV mapped. This was a first aid kit that I made, or first aid kit texture that I made in Photoshop, and it worked very well on the box that it was going to be used on. And then this is the image that I said I was going to put onto the coffee machine, and it worked well. And this is what I was saying before, as in it's kind of difficult to explain the UV mapping process that happened for the coffee machine, as in when I put the image on the object, this whole image is textured over the object everywhere, and so this is why you see like for this. So this is this face, the face of this part of the shape, and I wanted it to be black. I wanted it to be clear black, so that's why I moved every UV face that wasn't the screen into the black to give it that black look. I mean, this is what I was saying before, as in I kind of wish I did the video on UV mapping this instead, because I think it would have been much better, much more easier to explain. This part I go over the different textures that I used, all the different textures that I used, and this was the most used texture that I used, the sci-fi plating. I used it for most of the room, for the walls, well, I used it for the walls, and I did use it for the floor and ceiling, but I changed that later on. And then for some of the objects, I just used simple basic colors, without any textures, because I felt like I did try put textures on them to see how they looked, and I didn't really like the way they looked, so I just kept them simple. And because I liked this look better, I thought it'd add a bit more variety, color, texture variety into the scene. Again, this is just talking about the two other textures that I used. These textures I got from Ambient CG. Yeah, and this is kind of me going into a bit more detail, talking about how I textured the chair, the sofa in the room, using another texture from Ambient CG, the plated metal. But this fabric texture I used was from texture.com, and I got this texture for this exact reason, to make like a little a soft area for onto the seat, so the chair doesn't look too hard, so it looks better. So for the last two sections, retexturing, because I said before, I retextured the floor and the ceiling as in the same. I used the same texture as this chair, the plated metal texture, and this is the video going about how I did that, and then this is me. This video goes about me texturing the hallway as well. But yeah, in that week I finished the texturing process for the environment, which I was very happy about. The next part I did was adding the glowing effect or the lighting to the room, and I was a bit kind of um, before I was a bit nervous about how this would go because I was expecting maybe something might not. Even though I've used this glowing material before on another project, another personal project, I was still a bit nervous to see if how it would work out or see if it would be different in any way. Hang on. There we go. So I learned how to do this glowing effect from this personal project that I did last year. I learned how to make these glowing shapes to add more light into my scene in for this project that I did last year outside of college. And so this is how I knew how to make the objects glow, and this was the video that I found that taught me how to do that. This is me going through how I made a new material and changed the surface of that material, and added the bloom function, which is what makes it glow. Oh, and originally originally I was going to put a very flat star background for the window, but but at the time I didn't really when I was thinking about it, it didn't really make much sense because from where the camera is, you won't really see the window, so there's no point really putting a star image or a space image outside. So my other idea, the other idea I came up with was to have like this kind of blue glow outside of the window, so that from the inside it would look like there's space or there's a light source coming from outside of the window or from and so I thought that was a really, at the time I thought that was a really good idea, and so that's what I did. And you can see here, it is a bit hard to see, but you can see, see if there's see if there's a, is this it? Yeah, I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that there is a blue light coming into from the window coming into the room, and I really liked how this looked, and so I decided to continue and keep it. But you only get this look, or you only get the light is only able to reflect off the environment because of the cycles engine that you can use, and that is the only way to make this to make the glow light up other objects. But with the cycles engine, it uses a lot. I've explained this before, but it uses a lot more memory and power from the computer to make the light look as polished and as accurate as the best it can, and really. So that's just me talking about how I changing the rendering engine, and then I kind of experimented with different colors for the light. It's because once I figured out that the glowing effect would work, then I kind of I wanted to see how much light I would need to light up the room, because originally I thought I put way too many lights into the room, and I thought I'd have to get rid of them. But that was surprising. That was not the case. As in, so I used all the ceiling light. I lit up added the glowing effect to all the ceiling lights, and they were all basically it worked perfectly. It worked exactly the way I was hoping it was going to work. But originally I was expecting I'd have to get rid of a few because maybe it'd be too much light, but it worked out fine. So this me experimenting with different colors, like the yellow color, the blue color. Originally I was gonna go for like a yellow type color, cause I thought it would make it look nice and a warm type of tone for the environment. But I decided against it because it started to look a bit kind of sickly. It started, and it didn't look like the kind of light that you'd want to be under all day, all day, every day. I feel like it would make you sick. Um, and it's not the most cinematic light. And then I thought of adding like maybe a blue light instead to make it kind of add the kind of sci-fi theme um, to the environment. But then I realized adding the blue light doesn't really work because it kind of overshadows the light coming in from the window. So in other words, there's kind of no point in adding the light in the window. So then I went and looked to see what other games had done, and other like sci-fi type games had done, and I looked over like the screenshots from like Infinite Warfare, the environments from Infinite Warfare, and I realized that all the lights they had were white. So I chose that color for my environment, and to see how it would look, and I really liked the way it looked. It looked a lot more, shall we say, official than the other colors that I chose, and so that was the color that I stuck with. This is me talking about how once I lit up the ceiling lights and they worked fine. I wanted to see how the wall lights, to see if they were necessary anymore, and and at first I was gonna get rid of them because I didn't think they were necessary, but I came up with another idea, I think was a much better idea, which was just to, instead of getting rid of them, was just to make it one shape. So instead of having lots of smaller shapes going across the wall, it's just two long shapes, or one long shape for each wall, or each side of the wall, and I think that works a lot better. The reason I decided to keep the wall lights, it was because I liked the reflectiveness that came off from that you could see from the floor and from from the side of the table, and I thought it added more to the whole sci-fi theme that I was going with. I wanted. So then I went to light up the ceiling. I mean, light up the hallway as well. Originally, hang on. I think it'd be much better if I try to explain it this way. See if I can over here. So originally, I only had this one light here, but it didn't light up the room or light up the area as much as I thought it was going to be, or thought it was going to. So I added these three lights here to add to kind of light the room up more, or light the hallway up more, and it worked. I like this new look. I think it really works. It does what I wanted it to do, which is light up this area. And I think, like, as I said before, it kind of adds to the whole kind of sci-fi aesthetic that I'm going for. Um, then this is the two videos that I did, talking about adding the lights that I just talked about. And these are all three parts of the environment before rendering. So these are all in the Cycles engine, but just not rendered yet. That's why they're a bit kind of spotty and not filled in certain places. But this is just to show that I finished lighting all the different areas in my environment. And then for the next part, this me showing where the render button is, and at that point pretty much the model was finished. The model is completely finished, and I finished doing everything I wanted to, and I was ready to start rendering the model. Now rendering is can be a lengthy process, especially when you have so much. There's a lot of different objects in the scene and lots of different textures, and especially what kind of light you're using. And so it can take, when you hit the render button, it can take a while for it to work, for it to all to come together. But basically, the longer that you leave it, the better results that you get. And these were all the finished rendered shots that the finished rendered screenshots that I've taken for all of my environment. And so basically what I'm saying, I've finished my sci-fi office environment that I wanted to make at the beginning of the project, and I'm very happy with how they look. They kind of succeeded my expectations for how it was all gonna look. And I'm very happy that I managed to get it all done on time, because my biggest worry, my biggest concern was obviously not getting it done on time and leaving the model half finished. So that's why I kind of pushed forward, and that's why I spent most of the 2-week holiday working on this, is because when I come back to college, I didn't know how much time I had left to finish the project, so I wanted to make sure I got it done before then, and I'm and so it's so much now that I've kind of got the project done. I think we have 5 weeks left until the deadline for when this project has to be finished and over with. So in my pursuit to get it done on time, I got it done ahead of time. But the point being is that I'm very happy with how it looks. I'm very happy with the textures that I've used. I think I've used the right textures, because that was something else that I was very concerned about, was that I felt like maybe for a lot of the objects, or a lot of the objects in this scene or in this environment, I didn't use textures, and I thought, well, maybe I should use more textures into the environment, add more textures to the environment, and which I did for some objects, like for the table. I tried out lots of different textures to see how it would look, but ultimately I kind of made the decision that I felt that this was my project, and I kind of that it was my decision what I wanted to add and how much I wanted to add, and so that's the conclusion that I came to, and I'm very happy that I came to that. I'm happy that I made that decision, and because as I said, because sometimes I can feel pressure from other people or from others, or what others might want, or what others might think about the project and how they might want things to be. But I was kind of reminding myself that this is my project and that I can decide how things look. I can decide how things look. Like so, and I'm happy I was able to come to that decision and carry on making the model the way I wanted to, instead of thinking about how maybe other people would, what other people might do if it was their project. But anyway, so these are the 3 finished rendered screenshots that I got, which I got from my which I got from the finished textured model, and finished and textured and rendered model. Then once I finished this, it's my next task, or the next thing that I worked on was in my presentation section of my site. I did like a final rendered screenshot section, and so this is where I put all the rendered shots that I did, and as well as that, I wanted to get other people's opinions and see what they liked about it, and see and ask them questions and about the project, and see if they liked what I did or not, and to see what maybe I could have done better, or if they had any other ideas that I could do to make the project better. And I managed to find 3 people to talk to so far, and they all came up with really, and they all had very positive responses to my project, like then saying it looked that that I did a very good job in making it and designing it. But in particular, I was more interested in what in the not creative what's the word constructive criticism, and see what, as I said before, what I could have done better, or what their opinions were. And one in particularly, which I kind of agreed with, was Dave. He made a point saying that because when I asked him about what he thought about the blue light coming into the room, he didn't notice it. He didn't see it, and he didn't notice it until I pointed it out. And he suggested that it would have been a better idea if I had moved the camera over to the window to get a better view, so you could actually see that the environment is in space, and that you could see that you could establish where the environment is. And I agreed with him on that, and I said that, and I thought that would be a good idea as well. So that's what I did. Going back here, I'm waiting for everything to load. All the way back down here. There we go. Oh, and so that's what I did. So underneath this section, I put like a responding to feedback section, and so that means I kind of took into account what people said about the environment, and started making those changes. And so if you look, the biggest change that I made to this environment if you look, is I've added a different oh, I don't want to do that. A different. There we go. The biggest change that I made was I added a different image to this glowing shape outside of the window. I put in a picture of Earth. Hang on, let me see, get in a better view. Here. And as you can see, that does a much better job and a much better job of establishing where this environment is and where it takes place and understanding what kind of environment this is. But the biggest thing or the biggest success, if you will, that I had doing this was that I figured out how to make this texture image glow. Which that was the biggest thing. I didn't want the picture of Earth just being like a flat image. It's a flat kind of dull image. And so I kind of figured out how I wanted to make it glow. And I experimented and tried this myself and adding the image texture to different options, different places. Originally, I attached it to this node, the material node, which is what gives it its material, controls its material. But then I realized that there was a color option for both for the texture image and for the emission, and the emission is what makes it glow. And I added those together and I got the results I was hoping for. And so now the image glows. So if I go back into this view and add and change the rendering engine to cycles, you can see that it adds a bit of glow to the side of this window here. There we go. You can see it adds a bit of glow, and if you look, so if I take away all the light here, you can see that I said before, it glows into the room, and I'm much happier with how this looks in comparison to how the blue shade, the blue glowing light looked. And I think I'm much happier with this, and it looks so much better than that did. Because before I felt like I was hiding it, I was hiding the window and kind of giving the illusion that there was space outside. But now I've managed to make this image glow. I don't need to hide it anymore. It's just there. So I was very happy with what the feedback I got from Dave, and I'm happy I did it because it made my environment look so much better. As well as that, if you noticed, I've also added the glowing effect to this screen over here, the radar screen, and because that was something I meant to add the glowing effect to as well while I was modeling, but I was more focused in getting the room made and finished, so that was something I didn't do. But that was something I went back later on and added as well. But it's a good thing that I learnt how to get the glowing effect from this image, because then I could do the same thing for this image as well. Anyway, going back. So this is me going over how I did it. And then, but as well, this is me talking about on my Trello board, I said I was going to add the glowing effect to the computer screen, and so that was something else I added later on. And speaking of the Trello board, getting back to it, Yesterday I thought it was again a good idea to start ticking off the stuff that I've completed on my Trello board. So this was all the work that I did on all the practical work that I did on my environment, on my model. But going back to planning and production, go over here. For this section, and I was just talking about how I was a bit disappointed with myself on this project, because at the very beginning of the project I said how I was gonna try and be more active with my Trello board and ticking it off as I go along, as I start modeling. But in the end, I didn't do that. Mainly because same thing as last time. I just forgot about it because I was so focused on getting it done. I was so focused on just getting the model finished before the time ran out. So I was so focused on getting that finished that I just kind of forgot about the updating the Trello board completely. So I am a bit disappointed. I'm a bit disappointed that I didn't stick to what I said I was gonna do. That I didn't remember to come back and tick for it, to go back and check it. I think even though I made this, I think one thing that would have helped would have been if I added it to the task list I had to do. But at the time, I just had I felt like so many other more pressing matters is to address. But at the same time, I am still disappointed that I wasn't able to keep to what I said I was going to do. Well, anyway, moving on, I kind of started taking off all the tasks that I had done, that I completed, that I'd finished. And obviously with the project finished, I ticked off almost all of them. So, but while I was thinking about other things, were there any other tasks I could do, anything else I could do, I came up with this list of other tasks that I could do. So, so this was these are new tasks that I came up with yesterday, and these are tasks that I'm hoping to get done this week. And I really don't think it's gonna take that long to do all these things. But the first one was talk about where I got the inspiration to add the Welsh theme to my environment. That is where I'm gonna talk about next, or write about next. Cause in this section, I'm just gonna talk about where I got that inspiration from. And where I got that inspiration from to add the Welsh theme to my environment was, there's this map in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare in the multiplayer. There's a multiplayer map, I can't remember what it's called at the moment, but there's a map where there's this space station and on one of the locker rooms, or one of the lockers for one of the pilots, it's in this environment. There are these Welsh flags here, these Welsh magnet flags, and I was really surprised to find these in the game, because I kind of feel like no one knows about Wales from outside of the UK. But here, one of my favourite games, they added these small Welsh flag magnets to one of the multiplayer levels, and I loved seeing it. I loved seeing the fact that other people outside of the UK who know about Wales, And that kind of gave me an idea, and that kind of gave me an idea of what it would be like to see, or what it would be like to see like a um to see like a Welsh add. What would it be like to add like a Welsh theme to this sci-fi environment that I'm making here? And this is what I'll because we always kind of we're not really a big, shall we say, famous nation or famous place. We don't kind of think about countries like ours being in like these kind of big, shall we say, fanciful like environments or settings, and to see something like this, it's kind of really got me thinking, and kind of got me thinking of what it would be like if people from Wales or people from the were in this kind of cool or sci-fi environment, this kind of cool futuristic world. What would that be like? And so that's where I kind of got. That's where I got these ideas from. To add, and that's kind of reminded me about different. I know there are different like military units, and one of them was like that. There's one unique to Wales, like the Welsh Fusiliers, and things like. And this is where I got these ideas from. And what if I used Welsh folklore, or as part of the ship, as part of the, what if that was the name, or they got the name of the ship from one of these folk tales, and so that's where I came up with the Baskelit idea. And so it's all because of this little Easter egg in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I mean, Infinite Warfare. And so I'm just gonna talk to the next part. The next thing I want to do is I just want to talk about that and explain my thinking behind it, and that's where I got these ideas from. Next, I wanted to change where I get all the evaluation videos from, or where they're all played from, because again, I mentioned it weeks ago when Rob tried playing my videos. I had it on YouTube. I had it privated. So that the world couldn't see it. But also, I just didn't think that obviously Rob wouldn't be able to see it either. So what I did then, as like a quick fix, was just kind of make it public. But I don't really want. I'm not really too keen about everyone knowing what I'm doing or what I'm writing, and so or what I'm saying. So my plan instead is gonna do what I did last year, which we're gonna make a folder and put all my edited, finished evaluation videos into it. And once the folder's made, just adding it to the Google Drive. And then of course once it's there, Rob can see it all and have full access to it. The next part is I'm going to add my environment to my ArtStation account, because I think it would be I'm going to add this to my ArtStation account, because I think it would be a huge step. I'm very proud of what I've done, and I've worked really hard on it. And I think it would be a good thing to add to my portfolio. And I think it would be a huge step up, as in it kind of shows that I can make environments, and I have made environments before. Well, this is my first time making like a full environment, but it shows that I have some experience doing it, because as you can see, up until now it's all just been objects, and usually just one object, one main object. So I think this will be a huge change as far as opposed to the other the other models that I've made in the past. So I think it'll be a huge step up. Well, that's what I'm hoping for anyway. I'm hoping people see. So I'm gonna add that as well and add it to the practical skills page and talk about it. The next bit now. We've got 5 weeks, I think, before the project ends. So I think I have enough time to do this. But one other thing I thought I could do was to make a new image for the radar screen. So this screen over here. And the main reason I thought about doing this was because it's a very small detail, but I feel like someone might notice it, is that you see here, it's from the radar, the Earth is supposed to be on the other side of the ship, whereas if you look over here, obviously you can see out the window, the Earth is on this side, right, whereas the moon is supposed to be on this side, right, or the space stations are supposed to be where the Earth is right now. So I thought about maybe that would making a new image to kind of fit this new environment or this new picture that I've added, new background that I've added. As well as that, I thought I want to try and go get it over here. I want to try and fix this kind of deforming issue here. And I think maybe the way that I could do that would be to instead, because when I did the image in Photoshop, I did it as a square. So maybe if I did redrew or redesign the image, but this time did it in the same shape as the screen, maybe it would have a better resolution. It wouldn't be as deformed. Well, that's what I'm thinking about maybe. So I want to try and do that and see how it looks. But if I can't get it done, then it's not the end of the world. I'm still really happy with how this looks. I'm really proud of myself for making this. Because, again, as I said at the very beginning of the project, this is my first time making an environment like this. And I'm very, as I keep saying, I'm very happy with how it looks. But again, I've said before at the beginning of the project, even like because Thomas in my focus group meeting, Thomas was kind of a bit. I showed him the sketches that I made, and he was very hesitant to kind of say that I could do it because he felt like there was just too much in the room to do, too many objects. And at first, I agreed with him, and I was very nervous about it as well. I was very nervous about getting it done, especially on time. But even though I was nervous, and even though I had to there was a chance that I wouldn't be able to make it in time. I still wanted to do it. I still wanted to go for it. I felt like I could do it. I felt like it was possible. I felt like as well as that, I also the way I looked at it as in this is the challenge. This is where the challenge of this project comes in, because again, if I had done like an environment, but there wasn't as many objects around, or maybe it wasn't as complex, then I don't really feel like that would be much of a challenge. And I feel like that would be an easy escape, if you will. And I think Rob kind of expects a bit more of us by now to kind of try and push our limits and try and do something that we haven't tried before, and try seeing how we do. And like I said, And this was my whole point. This is the whole point of this project. This project that I've done is I've never done an environment like this. I've never done an environment as detailed as this. So yeah. And as far as I said, this is my first detailed environment. I am very happy with how it looks, and I'm really proud of how the lighting works. It looks so official, so good, and what's the word I'm looking for? So polished and detailed. But as well as that, I'm very happy with myself as well, because I'm happy that this, even though, as I said, it's very heavily inspired from like a game like Infinite Warfare and the environments in Infinite Warfare, I'm very happy because, as well, to me at least, it doesn't look like that. It looks very much unique from that. It looks very much not like something you'd see from many other sci-fi games. And that was another kind of dilemma I had to try and navigate. Was I wanted it to, obviously I've taken a lot of inspiration from Infinite Warfare, but I didn't want it to look like I just kind of copied it straight out the game. And I'm very happy, and I feel like I've not done that. And I feel like I've managed to avoid that hurdle. And ultimately, I didn't really get the idea. I didn't really get the feeling like, well, maybe this should have been a question that I could have asked when I was looking for feedback. But originally, before I finished the model, and when I told my focus group about the idea about adding like a Welsh kind of theme to the environment, I don't think they were really that impressed or really that interested. I didn't really maybe I didn't get the response that I was hoping for. But it was, I mean, Adam did say that it was a very kind of new idea, very unique idea, but from everyone else in the group, I didn't really get the feeling like they were really on board for it. But I'm I'm very happy that I went ahead with the idea, because as I said, I think it adds a lot of unique flair to the to the model. And as well as that, adding all these different custom textures like the radar, the certificate, the first aid kit, the coffee machine, or the other logo. I think, again, they're very small things, but I feel like they really add up to make this kind of cohesive environment. And I'm very, I keep saying, very impressed and very happy with how it all looks, how it all comes together, or came together. So yeah, these are the 4 tasks that I've set myself for this week. I've already completed one of these tasks, which was to add all the. I had another task here, but I've already finished that one, which was to add all the textures or the images that I used for the model into the FMP folder. Now, I don't think this is as well. Again, I might be wrong about this, but I don't think it is as important as it was for the last project, because in the last project I was using Maya, and with the Unreal Engine, so I needed to put it onto the Google Drive in order to use the textures in the Unreal Engine. But I still added all the textures and all the images that I used to the FMP folder, just in case. It's better be safe than sorry. but as well as that, this is also where oh, um, as well as that, this is where all the evaluation videos will be going as well. Because once they're here, because I kind of thought about it since I've added all these other videos here, these videos talking about documenting how I made certain parts of the environment. I thought might as well go the whole way and add in the evaluation videos as well. So that's something else I'll be adding as well. Um, getting back to um um but I also um getting back to like the feedback that I got from my audience, from my class members, and and Dave. I was really really happy with the responses that I got. It's like how Dave said how he really liked that I added the small details of like the radar screen and the military certificate as it all adds into I don't think he saw the military certificate, but they kind of all add to the same thing, and he used the word world building, which I was trying to get my hand on. I was trying to figure out which word would be useful, and once he said that word, I went, that's exactly what I wanted. As I wanted to people to be able to see that there is a world here, that I've added a bit of a story to the environment as well. In particular, I wanted to know about the textures, whether they looked good together, whether they worked well with each other, or because that was another fear I had, was adding all these textures together, would they look good together? But he said they looked very industrial, and which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to look like they could survive the harsh environment of space. Is and how the desk that I made for the for the room for the office looked very unique from other sci-fi games and movies. Is I asked Bobby as well what he thought of the environment, and he said that he liked how the the environment wasn't like a flat, it wasn't a box really, it wasn't like a very kind of simple shape, if as in that I made it a bit more that I've added cameras in different angles and different directions to get a better view of the overall environment once it was finished. Um, but I also asked about what they thought about the adding the hallway, whether it was a good idea or not, whether it was worth it. And he said, well, they thought it was a great addition, and mainly because I didn't really think about this, was because it was able to, having the hallway in the environment made it clear where the person had just come into the room. It gave like a sense of direction, which was something I hadn't thought about. But what is it? But it's still a good point. Um, and the last person I asked was Kara, I think that's the name. Sorry for getting that wrong. If I get that wrong, but he was really impressed with how the lighting of the room, and he like I think the same thing with me, as in every time I see it in the kind of the cycles engine, and I'm really impressed. It's because the lighting makes it look really professional, really makes it pop up, and it goes really well with the design I've given it. But the one recommendation that he had was that he thought that it would be a good idea if I looked at other sources of reference, like using like a site like Pinterest, and finding different references as for how I could for other objects I could add into the room, or other models I could add into the room. And well, I've already I at first I was going to say how I've already used Pinterest to add references, to find references to make the room, but I think what he's talking about is adding finding references for specific objects, like he mentioned how in I think he finds like the hallway is a bit kind of, he mentioned how you could add some more models to make it pop, particularly in the hallway, and I think he found that the hallway is a bit empty. Yeah, and I think what he means is finding references on Pinterest to fill up the hallway, find models to fill up the hallway. And once I kind of understood the idea, I thought, okay, I guess that's an idea. That's something I could do, I guess. But ideally, the first way I thought about it was I wanted to keep the hallway clear to show how, first of all, to show that people can cross, that people can use it, basically, that there's enough room for people to move in and out and move past each other. But maybe there are, because I have seen in other like sci-fi environments how for some parts of the hallway, or some parts of the hallway, they have like some part of the see if I can. I'm looking for that mood board that I did. There it is. And it's like, that's a bit like how you can see it, not exactly what I was thinking about, but you get the idea, and I think I understand what he's saying, in that how in some sci-fi environments you can see like some parts of the wall will kind of stick out and kind of almost become part of the hallway as well. Oh, and I think maybe that's what he was talking about. So yeah, maybe that is something I could. As I said, I originally wanted to keep that hallway clear, yeah, but I'll think about it. I'll think about what he said, and decide later on whether I want to add those other pieces. But I'm very now. I've thought about maybe I could get some more feedback from other people, or which I can still do, or which I still might do, but I feel like I've already gathered enough feedback as it but is because there are there are particular people that I was hoping to ask, and there were particular people that I was hoping to get their feedback from, but unfortunately they don't seem to be in at the moment. And I don't know where they are. I don't know what's going on. And for obviously since they're not in, I can't really ask them. But I did have the idea of maybe making a like at first I had the idea of making a survey, and kind of asking people what they thought of the finished model and sending that out to everyone. But I kind of wanted to keep it more simple. I thought it would be easier and simple if I just kept it straightforward and just kind of asked them face to face, asked certain people face to face what they thought about my model, and because and talk to the people I feel like I'm gonna get the most information from, the most useful feedback from. Um, um, but so that was my original plan. But as I said, Ed, I thought just talking to people face to face would be much easier and much quicker. But as I said, the people that I really wanted, that I was hoping to talk to, are not in. So what I thought, the other something else, another idea I had was I could still do the survey and send out an email to the people that I want to get the feedback from, and ask and see what they, and hopefully get a response from them and see what they say about my model. But we'll have to see about that. Hopefully, one day we'll come back. I can ask them. Um, but yeah, that's it. So I know that that Troy can't come in because he's having problems with transport issues. But the other person I wanted to talk to was Lewis. It's because he's given me really good advice in the past. He's given me really good responses in the past when I've asked him about asked him for opinions on my other work, my other project. He's given me really good advice, really good inputs. And so I was really hoping to talk to him about this as well. But unfortunately, as I said before, unfortunately, for whatever reason, he's not in at the moment. So if that remains the case, is I think what I might do is send out an email, or asking a survey, asking asking him questions about what he thinks about my something else I thought of, which came up yesterday, is I could use Discord as well. Which I hadn't thought about. I had never thought about using Discord before. But that's also another option I could get for gathering feedback. But yeah, that's it. That's everything I've done. That's no, that's everything that I've done so far on the project. That's everything I've done so far. In the last 2 weeks. Well, yeah, that's what I've done, and I've pretty much finished. I don't really want to say I've finished yet, because I feel like there might be something as far as like the written work is concerned that I haven't done yet, or I haven't done well enough, because as I'm in a very awkward place at the moment, because ideally I'd like to ask Rob to go through my site and tell me how, if I've improved on the areas that he talked about, that he pointed out. But he's already said that he's not allowed to do that. He's not allowed to go through the whole site and give me more feedback. So or I'm gonna have to be very particular about what sections of the site I ask him about, and he's allowed to give feedback on. And so yeah, that's very. I have to think very hard about which sections I think, or maybe I might not. Which sections I'm most interested to find out about, or find out how I'm doing in those sections. So yes, as I had a look through the checklist, the FMP checklist, to see if I've done everything. And the only two things I haven't done is narrative and sound, which I don't think those two are very relevant in my project. Like, um, so that's why I've left them undone, left them unchecked. But I suppose I could talk about if there was going to be sound, what sound there would be, or if there was going to be a story attached to this environment, this is what it would be. That was something else I thought I could do, but at the moment, for now, I feel like I've completed everything on my checklist. So and the main point I want to make is that that I'm willing to go back and fix these sections, or to go back and work on these sections if I haven't. If Rob looks at something and kind of goes, "Oh, Matt, you need to add a bit more here," or "Matt, you need to talk about this more," then I'm fine with going back. Or maybe if I go to Rob and he says, "Oh," he goes, "Oh no, Matt, you don't need to do," or other way round. If I go to Rob and he says, "Oh no, those sections you do have to do," then I'm fine with getting those sections done. And it's just that for the moment, I feel like I've completed most of my work, though most of the work I have left to do. So I need to be so next time I go in, I need to be very careful about which sections of my site I want to ask about. And I need to give that a lot of thought before going in. Because as I said, I'm not going to get a full report on the whole website, on the whole site. Right, so yeah, I need to put a lot of thought into that. One last section I talk about is how last week I mentioned that the very last point, the very last improvement that I've made to my context site, or to what Rob said in his video, in his evaluation video, was that he said I needed to decide and pick on a Peggy rating. And last week I said that was something I needed to do and something I needed to finish. And this week I've done that. I finished that, and this is my official choice, the official choice that I've made for my Peggy rating. That it will be a 16. Because again, there's originally I was going to put it up to like an 18 because of the kind of serious adult military setting it was in. But you only give I found out you only give something an 18 if there's explicit violence or drugs or sex or something like that. But considering there was nothing like that, and there's no signs of any blood or anything explicit, I didn't really feel like it was appropriate giving an 18. But also as well, locking it down to an 18 limits the amount of people who can actually view my project. So that was another bad thing about putting it to an 18. And so I decided to settle. I'm happy with putting it to with a 16, and because I still feel like it's an adult military setting and not suitable. That would not be, what's the word, engaging, shall we say, to younger kids. It's I think younger kids would enjoy it but the reason I put it to 16 and not like a 12 was because putting it to a 16, when I was making the model, I was still kind of considering the different objects that I could put into the environment, and one of those, and putting it to a 16 meant that I could add like an object like an alcohol bottle, a bottle of alcohol, or I could add a weapon to the wall, and that it kind of gave me that little extra freedom to do it. But in the end, I didn't end up doing those things, but putting it to 16 meant that I could add those things, and I felt like those things would be very what's the word, fitting of this environment or of this theme. And so that's why I chose this Peggy rating opposed to all the others. I think that's everything. That's everything I wanted to talk about for this week's evaluation. I don't think there's anything else. As to my next goal is to get. Oh wait, no, go back. My next goal is to finish off these things and these tasks. Those are gonna be my next goals. But considering I've got 5 weeks left to do this, I don't think that doing those things will take very long. Well, I hope not anyway. And that's it. Thank you everyone.